So that was. I'm laughing because I did so much today in a way that I surprised myself, and I'm really proud of myself for how I carried myself. That's a lot of myself in one sentence. But basically, I surprised, impressed, and genuinely excited myself today in a way that, like, I don't even know how to break down because it's yeah, I'm speechless because I feel like this was a perfect example of what I mean when I talk about my travel self, you know? Cuz it's not like I'm adjusting this. Okay, I'm just going to talk at it. Cuz I'm literally sitting on the edge of a chair and I'm doing my vlog, my day vlog because I've been walking all day and it has been an adventure, honestly, cuz it's kind of really weird to think that I left maybe like 2 o'clock, like definitely later in the day, maybe 1:30, whatever. So I was just going down the street, my first kind of task that I wanted to complete, because I really was kind of focusing like task oriented wise. Oh, I'm so sticky and sweaty, but I'm so happy too, so I'm like okay with all of the above. I'm just an oily mess and I'm thriving. Uh, so, anyways, I'm just gonna stand because I'm way too excited telling these stories. So, basically, I ended up walking down the street towards Kensington Market, and as I was going towards Kensington Market, I noticed there was a crowd of protesters, and I was like, oh, I wonder what they're protesting, like, you know, like, and this is one of those beautiful things about solo travel that I am realizing too. It's like I kind of knew, but now I'm like really starting to grasp is that you don't have to have an itinerary, and like you can just actually live in the moment to the point of throwing all your plans out the window and seeing what happens, because like really that is what sticks with you more than anything. And I really I'm so happy that I did. So I started filming. I didn't film the protest. I should have, but the thing is, I'm still working on the whole getting comfortable with filming in public thing, because I know a lot of people do it, and I know I should just not care, but I'm not quite to that point yet, so I'm just honing one skill at a time and trying to not, okay. I'm trying to not be too cruel towards myself. That cruel's a bit of a strong word. I'm trying not to be too mean towards myself about not filming in public, because there were a lot of things that could have been filmed, but I don't know, part of the beauty to me of doing solo travel things is being able to either seamlessly slide under the radar or at least seem like I know what I'm doing so I don't make myself a target. So on one hand, I would have loved to have filmed some in some of the areas I went. Like, I went all the way through Chinatown, through Queen's Park, and like, I have trekked through the city what feels like multiple times, but probably was a small fraction of the city. Small, itty bitty. But I did it, and my feet hurt, but I'm so happy about it. But the downside of that is I didn't exactly do too much filming because I wanted to walk with enough determination and seem like I knew where I was going, because I really, really go with blind determination. I will just move forward with this like confidence that I didn't know that I had until I'm like beelining it down the street, and then everyone seems convinced, not that I asked them, but there's this moment occasionally you'll meet someone's eye and you're like, huh, yeah, yeah. And I like meet someone's eye and they're like kind of grinning. And I'm like, why? Is this funny, or is this just like, it's either I'm exuding some ridiculous aura, or they see something that makes them smile and I don't know why. I'll take that as it will, that as it is, and hope it's a compliment and then not care if it isn't. So this is like what I'm talking about when I say my travel self, where I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking ridiculous. Like, this is who I am, and I can be mad at myself for it, or I can actually do something with it and have a good time and enjoy the life in front of me. So that was very much today, because I walked up, I started taking pictures of this like protest rally thing, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna snap some photos. Like, that's why I put my camera there. I wanted to do some street photography, and this was the perfect time to. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna practice just cold talking to strangers, like full on walking up and being like, here's this protest. You're clearly like, you're here for a reason. So just tell me a little bit about like why you're here. And I started with that kind of opening premise, and I was like, well, I blended in fine. Like, a lot of the protesters were kind of like artistic types, like crazy concept, caring about things and being passionate about them. And I was like, I can connect with that. So I saw that they were passionate about something, and I was like, tell me about what you're passionate about. And that actually opened some really awesome conversations, and I met a lot of really cool people. And like within 5 minutes, I ended up becoming part of the rally or the walk. Like, I had some decent conversations with a couple people, and I walked with them to this second location where it was in Queens Park. And I was talking to them for a while, and I was like, yeah, this is really important. I support this too. And it was a very similar situation as a lot of the issues in like Flint. And it was dealing around this group dealing with mercury poisoning of indigenous people. And because there was poisoning of the water supply in this very specific, in this area. And it was an important issue. So I was like, okay. And what was even more like, whoa, was there were people from this community in the march. And so I actually struck up a couple conversations with the right people, I guess. And so they introduced me to other people who introduced me to other people. And then all of a sudden, I'm like doing an impromptu interview. And I'm like, so tell me about this. And what is it, like, what is happening? What has happened? Why is it important to you? And why does it matter? And I didn't ask the why does it matter to the people directly affected by it, obviously, because that's a little insensitive. But I tried to do it in a very, like, I've watched enough documentaries to know how I like interviewers asking questions, I think, at this point. And it was such a bizarre moment, because after the third person I was introduced to, I was introduced, and like, I said I was from Nashville, and by the third, someone thought that I was from like a paper, was doing like an article. And so they were like, are you from the National? And I was like, oh no, I'm just a traveling writer, an artist, which is not wrong. It was this moment of like, you're looking at me like I'm someone important, like I'm someone worth talking to. And then I'm like, wait, everyone's kind of someone worth talking to. Like, we create importance. It's a societal construct, like, and I'm like, I am selling myself short for so long, thinking that I'm not important, but then also, like, in this moment, I got to the chance to talk to these two wonderful women they were the ones who did the survey research for these people that were directly affected by the mercury poisoning, and they were talking about it, and it was really moving. And I was like, inside, I was like, this is just as important for me and them right now, is like being like, hey, I'm this complete third-party observer who has nothing to do with this, but I see that you care about this thing, and I want to help in any way I can. And the way I could help was making art, because that's what I do. I can do that. I don't know how to give intense moral support for communities that are suffering like that, but I can in my own way. And that sounds so cheesy, and it sounds kind of cliche, but it was like that kind of grounding moment of, oh my god, I have a voice. Like, I can actually do something. I mean, not necessarily do something about this, but like, I didn't know anything about this, because there is a lot of systematic oppression of indigenous peoples in North America in general, whether it's the States or Canada. And we already have there's a big problem with silencing voices in the US, especially but it's easy to forget that, like, these political borders we create for ourselves, they're not existent in every culture. Like, culture does not exist in a vacuum, and that makes complete sense to me when I say it out loud, but, like, it's easy to forget that these issues are not isolated to just one place. And so I felt like it was really important to, like, even though I was this observer, after a certain point, I was like, this is kind of, it's not my responsibility, but it's my privilege as an artist to actually be able to help in any way I can. And the way that I can is to create art, and create art that actually tells, like, a very human story, because these people were, you could see it in their eyes, like, they were kind of starting to get emotional, because I was like, wow, like, these people put time and energy and effort, because it's not just like a protest for them, like, this is their lives. Like, they're watching the people in their community, like, die from mercury poisoning, and it was really sad. And I was like, I want to do something justice here. Like, I want to tell your story. Like, and I did a series of portraits, and I really hope they I'm a writer. They turned it out real good. But I really do hope that they turned out to a point where it showed or did justice to the event, because those women were just badass. I was like, oh my god. Like, one of the people I talked to, she actually was the person who came up with the survey when they surveyed the community. She spent 2 years going around, I forgot which province of Canada, I apologize, but they were traveling around. They weren't from here. Like, they were from probably closer to Saskatchewan area. Yes, I don't know enough Canadian geography to be good at this, but it was closer, it was west of here. It was definitely not like Toronto, it was more in the center area of the country, in the provinces over there. And she had literally come up with the questionnaire where they survey about, like, the people affected, where it's just like, here's this, and she was the one who helped collect the data to even talk about these issues. And I'm like, just, like, imagine that. Like, imagine trying to quantify, like, an issue where you're watching people you know, you're watching your neighbors and, like, people you care about, like, suffering slowly, and you have to turn this into, like, a quantifiable thing so you can explain to a larger audience what's happening and, like, how this affects. But, like, the emotional toll that takes on, like, not only the community but the people who have to actually administer it. Like, I was so inspired by just, like, the strength of these women, honestly. Like, they were just proper badasses, because, like, they were talking to me about it, and it was like, I was like, I cannot, like, emphasize enough how important it is what you're doing. Like, this is really important. So that was a turn in my day that I wasn't expecting, to say in the least, but I am so grateful for the people that just took me in and were like, of course, we're gonna let this weird, just this odd American who just appeared, like, just join us. And I was treated, like, so kindly, and that's not surprising from, man, these Canadians, I've had good interactions so far. But, like, really, it felt like I was taken seriously as an artist in a way that took me by surprise. And, like, I don't know if it should take me by surprise, but, like, I had a moment where I felt like a professional in a realistic way. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I felt like I was taken seriously for my art, and, like, it was something important. And it was one of those handful of times where I was like, oh my god, like, I felt like a correspondent, and I never thought that I wanted to be anything like that and interview people, but, like, it actually kind of makes sense from a natural progression of, like, my art and traveling. And I think I love the connections that I make with people when I'm traveling, and I've had good ones, because people have such unique experiences, and people have their own points of view and, like, everything to bring to the table in a way that you may not fully experience if you just go somewhere and you just check it off your list, like, of things you need to do. Because I was so glad that I just threw my plans out the window because I still made it to Kensington Market. Kensington Market was great, and I had a blast, and I still had some great conversations with people. But like that set the tone for my day, and I entered the day feeling like I was like, am I just gonna let this go to waste? And then by the time I got here at almost 7 o'clock, it feels like I've been on a journey in a way that's just so satisfying and so reflective of what travel means to me. And that sounds so cheesy, but like this really felt important in a way that was refreshing, and it felt like it was the start of something, and I hope it is, because I want to be able to talk to people and like hear about the things that they care about, because that is what grounds art to me and to a lot of people, is they find the bits of humanity and they latch onto it. And like these people had a really powerful story to tell, and if I can bring a human edge to that and be like, you know, it's people should care about a lot of things, but they don't always care until they see something human that they connect with on a personal level. So if I can tell any of that story to some extent, I feel like I would have done them justice, and even in the slightest, even as just like a visitor. But I'm just blown away. These people are incredible, and I'm loving the city and the people I've interacted with so far. But I think the experiences make the trip more than anything. The experiences with people, not just in the places you go and the things that you take pictures with. Like that's all great and all that, but that's what gets filed away in the mental filing cabinet of like, oh yeah, I went and I did that thing and I barely remember it, but like these interactions I remember. Like I can say these names and I can say these places and I can say the book recommendations they gave to me, and like their interaction, the interactions I have with them can live on long past the actual confines of the interaction, if that makes sense. Like I could just be like a philosophical nut job, but it feels like there's something there in the most artistic bullshit way, and I'm thriving on it.